I live on the edge of nowhere. A cabin tucked in the Colorado wilderness. No cell signal. No neighbors. Just me and my dog Brutus, a 120-pound, half-wolf rescue with loyalty deeper than blood. Every morning he runs into the woods and returns by noon. Never fails. Until last week. That morning felt off. The wind smelled wrong, like scorch metal. The trees were too quiet, even the birds silent. I brewed my coffee and stared at the tree lean, waiting. Hours passed. No Brutus. By noon, panic had its claws in me. I grabbed my rifle, whistled until my throat burned, then charged into the woods, calling his name. After a mile, I heard rustling, then crashing. I raised the rifle. Brutus burst through the underbrush, tail high, eyes excited. But he wasn't alone. Behind him was a girl. She looked maybe 18, petite, silver hair glowing in the sunlight, skin faintly blue. She wore a torn white jumpsuit, smeared in blood and moss, and stared at me like I might eat her. Brutus stood between us and wagged his tail. I lowered the rifle. You bring me a friend, buddy? The girl flinched at my voice. Her lips moved, but I heard nothing. Not silence, more like a whisper layered under static. I couldn't understand a word. Hey, I said softly. You hurt? She blinked slowly, then nodded. Her knees buckled. I caught her before she hit the ground. I brought her inside, laid her on the couch, and examined her wounds. Deep gashes on her leg and back. Her blood shimmered faintly, like moonlight on oil. Brutus paced protectively beside her, occasionally licking her hand. Where'd you find her, huh? I asked him, cleaning the wound. He only wagged his tail, like a proud matchmaker. She woke hours later, sat up fast, saw me, and screamed, except I heard nothing. Her mouth opened, her eyes wide with terror, but again, no sound came out. I raised my hands. Easy. I'm not going to hurt you. She scrambled backward, then froze as Brutus gently climbed onto the couch beside her. He lay down, resting his giant head on her lap, like she was his long-lost pup. She hesitated, then stroked his fur. Her breathing slowed. She looked at me, no longer terrified, just wary. That's when the lights flickered. Then the shaking started. The whole cabin trembled like an earthquake hit, but nothing else outside was moving. The girl jumped to her feet, groaned in pain, and pointed to the forest. She tried speaking again this time. Her voice came through, faint and musical like a harp played underwater. They follow danger. I stay hidden. She clutched her side. Then I heard something in the distance, a hum, growing louder, not mechanical. Something worse, like the sound of something ancient and angry waking up. Brutus growled. The girl turned to me, desperate. Please, must not find me. I looked at her, then out the window, then back to her. Brutus stepped between us and gave a low whine, almost pleading. Okay, I said. We went into the bunker. Just a storm shelter, really, but it was deep and lined with lead panels from an old radio project. I had no idea if that helped, but she nodded approvingly once we were down there. The sound faded after 10 minutes. We waited 2 hours. When we came back up, the sky had turned orange, but not sunset orange. Something else. An unnatural glow pulsed from behind the tree lean. She stared at it, trembling. Hunt vessels, she whispered. You're saying there's more of you out there? She shook her head. Not like me. Soldiers. Machines. Killers. Not from home. Brutus nuzzled her, trying to calm her shaking. I took a deep breath. Okay, I think it's time we talked. Full story. You speak English? She nodded slowly. Learn from you. Brutus show forest sounds. Words. I blinked. You learned English from my dog? She gave a tiny smile. He speak much, not with mouth. Her name, she said, was Kalei. She came from beyond known stars. Her people were peaceful explorers, traveling in small groups, studying primitive worlds. They weren't supposed to interfere, but something attacked their research vessel. They crashed. Only she survived. The ones that attacked her ship weren't just after technology. They fed on energy. Life energy. Her kind was delicious to them. She had been hiding ever since, surviving off wild fruit and creek water. She spotted Brutus days ago and followed him. When she saw how gentle he was, she approached him. He find me, she said. Warm. Strong. Took me. She looked down at Brutus and smiled, stroking his fur. He loves. Brutus licked her cheek and thumped his tail. That night I couldn't sleep. Outside, The sky pulsed every now and then, like something watching. I walked outside quietly and froze. Something stood in the woods. Tall, thin, shimmering, almost human-shaped but wrong. Too long, too still. Then it vanished. When I went back inside, Brutus was standing beside Kalei, growling low. The next day, we planned. Kalei said there might still be a rescue beacon in her ship, if we could reach it before they did. She didn't know if it still worked, but it was the only chance. We packed food, water, and blankets. I brought my rifle, an axe, and duct tape. Kalei wore one of my old hoodies, 3 sizes too big. With the sleeves rolled up, Brutus took the lead. The ship was 2 miles north, but the forest wasn't the same anymore. The birds didn't sing. The air felt thick, like breathing through wet wool. And then we heard them, claws on bark, clicks like chattering teeth. Kalei stiffened. Too close. I raised my rifle. How many? She shook her head. Don't know. They don't stay solid. Brutus bared his teeth. Then the trees exploded. They came out of nowhere, like black smoke with bones. Tentacles of shadow. Faces flickering like static between skull and machine. No eyes, just hunger. I fired. The bullet went through the first one. Then it reformed. Brutus launched forward, tearing into one, buying a second's. Kalei threw up a hand, and a burst of blue light exploded from her palm, blasting the shadows back. They hate light, she gasped. Run. We ran. Brutus followed, blood on his fur, but eyes blazing. We made it to the ship, half buried in a crater, mangled and scorched, but the core pulsed faintly. Kalei sprinted inside and started chanting or singing, hands over the console. I stood at the entrance with Brutus, watching the shadows reform and creep toward us. I dropped the last of my flares at the threshold and lit them. Light held them back for now. Behind me, Kalei shouted, Done! Beacon is up, but power low. Will it call your people? Maybe, maybe not. But now they know where I am. The ship shook. Kalei stumbled out and grabbed my hand. Brutus led the charge as we ran. Behind us, the ship detonated in white light. The shadows screamed. Some burned, others scattered. We ran for miles. Didn't stop until the stars came out. Back at the cabin, we barely spoke. Kalei curled up on the couch with Brutus, who had refused to leave her side even once. I sat by the window with my rifle. The stars seemed brighter. Then we heard it, a soft hum different from before. Not hungry, not angry, hopeful. We ran outside, and above the trees the ship hovered, smooth, silent, silver like starlight. A beam of soft blue light washed over us. Kalei stepped forward, then turned back to me. Her eyes shimmered. She walked up and, hesitantly, wrapped her arms around me. Safe. Because you. I swallowed. You sure you want to go? She looked at Brutus. Kneeling, she kissed his head. He saved me first. Then she turned to me. Will you remember me? I nodded. Every day. She touched her chest. You and me. Always. The beam lifted her up. And just like that, she was gone. 3 nights later, Brutus started barking again at midnight. I ran outside, thinking maybe wolves. Instead, I found a glowing silver box on my porch. Inside, a crystal, a note in perfect English. For light, if they return. And underneath it, etched with loving care, from Kalei, for Brutus and you.